Jean Rodriguez, who's 73 years old, told us her retirement checks had been withheld for the past 2 years. A former school cafeteria worker, she started receiving benefits in 2014. But 4 years later, she and her husband Glenn were asked to come to the local Social Security office in Virginia Beach, Virginia, to speak with the representative.
And he says, we have a small problem.
How much did he say they had overpaid you?
$72,000.
That doesn't sound like a small problem.
No, it wasn't. We were both devastated.
What did they tell you happened?
Somewhere along the line, they made a combination of 4 other people in addition to my numbers.
So they were giving you benefits based not just on your salary, but on 4 other people's salary all combined.
Right.
How does that happen?
Good question. Don't know how they did it.
So, yeah, we don't need to fix anything, right? We don't need to fix anything. Yeah, Social Security works perfectly. We could just leave it how it is, right? And F around and find out, as Cenk was just talking about. Yeah, we do need to fix it. There does need to be solutions. There does need to be things that need to be taken into consideration and fixed when it comes to Social Security. So how many people do you think are getting overpayments? How many people do you think are they combining and overpaying and, and not making up the difference? And what do you think is going on? We need to really figure out what's going on here. I could guarantee she isn't the only one that this is happening to. Right? There is accounting errors in the government because think about it. Somebody said this recently. No, this is Elon Musk said this. Is like, how much do you think people care if your budget's unlimited, you're taking other people to pay other people, and there's an unlimited amount of money coming in? You're not going to care. Who cares? Right? If there's an unlimited budget, if there's an unlimited amount of money coming in and you just have to give that money to other people, most people don't give a damn, right? The money doesn't even register as being real. So yeah, like this Social Security does need to get fixed. It does.
Passing legislation to dismantle it. Looks like the executive branch is trying to do it unilaterally.
So Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Wow, the richest man in the universe thinks that Social Security is bad and is manufacturing consent for its dismantling while appearing on Rogan. I'm sure none of this was orchestrated in any way, shape, or form. But there you have Elon Musk, again, richest man in the world, arguing that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, some evil social program that has kept tens of millions of elderly people off the streets. Let's hear a little more of what he has to say, Cenk, and then I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. If you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is because of the future obligations. So basically people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and that live for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligations. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
Now, we don't have the money for Social Security or the social safety net programs in the country. So we've got to cut it, we've got to gut it. But don't worry, we do have $100 billion to invest in cryptocurrency as part of the American Crypto Reserve.
All right, so before we react to her reaction about that, it is interesting to think about Social Security, and crypto is very interesting in how it operates. Social Security is very interesting in how it operates too, because I believe, it's 6.2%, up to 100 and some odd $1,000. I believe it's $174,000, and for your average workers, for your employees, and then it's 12.4% for self-employed individuals or business owners, right? So it is interesting, that and it's capped, right? So there's a cap at it. So there's a cap there, and she'll actually talk about this in a minute. But it is interesting that there is a cap. So I'm wondering why is there a cap? But also, it is, you got to think, man, if you don't know, with Social Security, right, which in my opinion, it's social insecurity, because how are you surviving on $1,200? And in my opinion, I think this is one of Trump's plans, is just imagine, think about it. If you're getting a $1,200 check and you have to pay, you're getting a $1,200 check and you're paying $200 out of that check in taxes, or, $100 out of that check in taxes. That's a huge amount of money compared to that $1,200, as opposed to, if you're working on pennies and you're paying $100 in taxes on basically penny, on just $1,000, is huge to you. Then I believe that, Social Security, we can do with it being untaxed, I believe, because it's such a, it's basically like the money's being funneled back into the government from taking taxes anyway, so it's very interesting when it comes to that. But, it is interesting with Social Security, how it can, like, say, if somebody doesn't have a beneficiary, then where does that money go? It just stays in the pot? Paid all those years, it kind of just stays in the pot. I mean, I guess so. So you've been paying into this thing for so many years, and it's not necessarily, tying it to the stock market might be a little weird, but it should be able to grow a lot faster than what it has been growing at. But let's keep listening.
The Trump administration, we'll get to that story later. Cenk.
Yeah, so I'm going to rip into him on policy in a second. Apparently he's a child and doesn't know a single thing about policy.
No, he knows. He just wants to dismantle it.
No, or he thinks that, Joe Rogan's listeners are morons, and so I'll just talk down to them. So we'll get to that in a second. But on the politics of it.
How is he talking down to him? Isn't that what, like, how? See, now they attack Elon. He's just giving his opinion on Social Security. Right, he's giving his opinion on Social Security. Did he say they should just get rid of it totally? I don't know. I'm gonna go listen to the clip. I don't know, but I just heard him give him his opinion on Social Security. It just sounds weird, to him, it sounds like a Ponzi scheme. So it's his opinion. But what do you mean talking down to the audience? I don't understand that. Cenk, I'm sure he's gonna get emotional and really loud and crazy with it, but let's see what happens.
How is this going to end? This is how it's going to end. F around and find out. So, and you're not going to find out from me. You're going to find out from the American people. And if you're MAGA, you could do the same thing the Democrats did. Oh, no way, Joe Biden's young and dynamic, because we all think he's young and dynamic. Sure, how about it? See how it turns out for you. In this case, you're saying, no, we can mess around with Social Security and not find out. I think you will find out.
So this is interesting. It's like, okay, when he says mess around with it, does he mean get rid of Social Security? I don't think anybody said that they're going to get rid of the Social Security. But so when he says mess with it how? Make it better? I don't know, not tax it. Make it better for the people? I don't know. I think a lot of the plans that we've had since the 1930s and 40s and 50s, things evolve, things can change, things can improve. So I believe it can be updated. Do you not believe it can be updated? And if it can be updated, what options do you have, right? Or are you just going to keep going down this road until it becomes insolvent and we have to, you have to drop down benefits for people in the future? Or are we going to keep kicking this can down the road? This is a big can we keep kicking.
The American people are going to despise you when you mess around with this. So let's tell you how they're messing around with it.
So first, let me address what Musk said, because there is some truth to what he said and it needs to be addressed in order to make our argument, right? So he talks about the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund, and there is legitimate concern there. For instance, As the New York Times reported, the trust fund that pays Social Security's retiree benefits is expected to run dry in 2033, when tax revenue will be enough to pay 79% of scheduled benefits. That means beneficiaries' checks would be reduced by 21% if Congress does not intervene. Now, Congress could intervene. The argument that we need to dismantle Social Security over this is ridiculous, when in reality we could, adequately fund Social Security by lifting the tax cap on Social Security taxes. So right now, this year, Americans will be taxed for Social Security up to $176,100 in their salary or in their income. Any money that they earn after that, they don't get taxed for Social Security. You could lift that threshold. Because, by the way, it is a little ridiculous that someone like Elon Musk pays the same amount in taxes for Social Security as someone who's making, $176,100. Isn't that a little crazy? So you could lift the Social Security cap, but we're not having that.
So here's the thing. It's like I agree and I also kind of disagree at the same time, because if you lift the cap, right, then you lift the cap, right, then you put more in, but you also take more out. Okay, so you put a lot more in, but then you also take a lot more out. Okay, unless they make a cap on how much you can take out of the Social Security. So would there be a lift on how much you get back in Social Security? I don't know. If you have a higher cap of what you put in, then you should get more out, right? Unless there's a maximum to that. You guys let me know in the comments if there's a maximum to that. Okay, so maybe you could play that, lift the cap. But also a lot of people that are in Elon Musk's position, I'm not going to say him particularly, I'm not exactly how much he takes in income, how much he pays in income taxes per year, but a lot of people that have very high net worths like Elon Musk and, all those billionaire types of folks, they're not taking income. They take loans. Okay. There are a lot of high income earners in the world. A lot of them, most of them are on the business end of things. Most of them aren't employees that are making millions and millions of dollars a year outside of like professional athletes a lot of times. Right. So to be honest, it's a very small group of people. We're talking about, hundreds of millions of people. It's a very small group. But I could see your argument making some type of sense.
Discussion, are we?
Okay, so look, I'm going to jump in on that. So this child comes in and goes, there's for the future obligations of Social Security. Yeah, Elon, we all know that. Like a child knows that. We pay now and then we get it back when we retire. We understand that if there are more older people, that's going to create some sort of deficit and we need to address that. So that's not the question. Everybody knows that. And he's like, did you know those future obligations that make our debt worse? Of course. Why do you think we want to balance the budget? Because we're paying so much in the interest. And that's creating our future obligations. This is like the most elementary stuff. Yes. It's like going into a graduate level class in math and going, did you know that 2 times 4 is actually 8? Yeah, brother, we covered that a while back, right? So you're not, Look, I can't speak for Rogan or his audience, although that groan kind of spoke for Rogan a little bit. When he mentioned cutting, messing around with Social Security. But I have no opinion on his audience. But Elon clearly has an opinion on Joe Rogan's audience. He thinks these idiots don't even know, that we have to pay interest and Social Security has more, money goes in now from us and then we get it later. We all know that. Okay, anyways. So, but it's curious that he never mentioned lifting the payroll tax cap, right?
What solution do you have, right? So I hear that you're complaining, right? So I hear that they're just complaining, just professional complainers, but what's your solution? What are you gonna do? Like what progressive solution do you have to this issue? Because this is a very, very big issue. Right, it might not be top of mind to a lot of people, but it is a very, very big issue, and the issue only gets bigger every single year. So what, all right, so lift the tax cap, great. Okay, that can help a little bit. to a few people, because those people that you're lifting the tax cap for, well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to take more out of it later too. Correct or correct? I don't know. I mean, I just hate people that just complain. Jesus.
I mean, for the rest of us, we know why he didn't mention it, because that would affect his taxes.
Oh, God forbid,
God
the
forbid.
richest
I mean,
billionaire in the world pays a little bit more to keep Social Security solvent. God forbid. I know.
What is he at these days? 280 billion, 270 billion?
I don't know.
Besides which, he doesn't even pay the goddamn taxes, because he just takes it as a loan from his stock. So since you barely even pay any goddamn taxes, what do you even care? But no, he's not gonna tell you that. He's gonna.
Why do you put loan in air quotes? Interesting. I don't know.
Oh, we have to really cut. So it's just like, and now they've started to chop away at it.
Yes, let me get to that in just a second. But before I do, let me just remind everyone that while 401ks, IRAs, all of these retirement accounts are tied to the stock market, meaning they are tied to the risks associated with the stock market, Social Security benefits are not. It is the only type of social safety net program that helps the elderly stay off the streets, and the disabled, by the way. But let's go ahead and start chopping that up, even though we all see how much we're paying into the Social Security system in every single one of our paychecks. Now, with that in mind, look, Trump promised we're not gonna touch Social Security. They're touching Social Security. Now, how are they doing it? They're not doing it through legislation, but they're doing it in a roundabout way, little by little, dismantling the Social Security Administration. So it was just reported that they are letting go of 7,000 Social Security Administration workers. This was reported or announced by Leland Dudick, who is the Social Security Administration's acting commissioner under Trump. So here's what the New York Times reported about this. The Social Security Administration, which sends about 73 million retired and disabled beneficiaries more than $126 billion each month, that's $126 billion that we all paid into, said it had plans to cut roughly 7,000 workers from its 57,000 member workforce.
So
now, as
I know they're about to complain and they're going to get real emotional. You're going to start to see them, sweat right in this here. But look, man, once somebody signs up for Social Security, bro, it's automatic. You know what I mean? Like, most people aren't getting a check in the mail where they got to go and then cash it and all this other stuff. Maybe a few people are, but as people get older and older and older, and these, a lot of older people start to kick rocks and pass away and things of that nature, most people are going to be very, very used to online banking. Like, most people are going to have some type of online banking thing where it's just automatic, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, there's 57,000 employees. They got rid of 7,000. That's like what, 12% or a little bit less than 12%. So okay, but we got to look, your customer service, be great at customer service in the private market. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta cut budgets on all realms. They're not cutting your Social Security check, right? They're cutting the people that your Social Security check taxes pay, right? So maybe they can get you some money back on that Social Security check. Maybe they can get, maybe at some point be able to get no tax on Social Security. That'll be a huge thing to the people that get Social Security, right? Very, very interesting here. But, at the end of the day, the biggest thing would be to not tax Social Security, in my opinion. And also solutions. Hey, we talk about raising the cap. That can be a minor solution. The wealthy 1%. Hey, maybe that can help a little bit when it comes to the Social Security bubble. But when it comes to the 401ks and IRAs and things of that nature, well, most people just put their stuff on autopilot. They don't even know how their 401k and IRAs work. We probably need to have more of a conversation about that, because most people are dealing with their 401ks and IRAs and those investments, retirement investments, so to speak. They're dealing with that on a more often basis than they are thinking about their Social Security. Okay. So, it is interesting. People should understand how that works too.
Result, regional offices will also be closing. So far, we've heard that 10 offices will be closing. 5 of them are in Georgia alone. The agency said the reductions would focus on functions and employees who do not directly provide mission-critical services, to which I say BS. That is not true. So we're gonna get rid of 7,000 workers and it's not gonna have any impact, right? And I should also note, it's not just gonna stop at 7,000 workers. The administration has hinted that they're planning on cutting the workforce in the Social Security Administration by as much as 50%. Now come to me and tell me that's not gonna have an impact on how the Social Security Administration functions. Tell me that that's not gonna lead to a negative impact on elderly people and disabled people getting their Social Security money on time. So Democratic Senator Patty Murray, by the way, argues that, look, the Social Security Administration was already short-staffed. In fact, there's like a toll-free number that beneficiaries can call if they're having any issues. And the wait times had gotten longer and longer in regard to those phone calls. And it's because they don't have enough staff to respond to people adequately on time. And on top of that, field offices receive an additional 57 million calls and 30 million in-person visits. So obviously these offices closing is going to have a negative impact on beneficiaries. Security AFGE General Committee, a union representing 42,000 Social Security employees, said staffing was already at a 50-year low while the number of beneficiaries increases by 10,000 people daily. And according to the Associated Press, again, they're not stopping here. They're planning on cutting 50% of the workforce. The people familiar with the agency's plans say the Social Security Administration's new acting commissioner held a meeting this week with management and told them they had to produce a plan that eliminated half of the workforce at the Social Security Administration headquarters in Washington and at least half of the workers in regional offices. So this is what they're doing. They're going to dismantle Social Security, something that we have paid into, something that has helped our elderly and disabled Americans. It is absolutely disgusting that this is happening, but it's happening. And don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking it's not.
Yeah, so Martin O'Malley used to work for the Social Security Administration under Biden. And he says that it'll start breaking
30,
in
90 days,
90
relax,
days.
bro.
I don't know if that's alarmist. I don't know if that's too quick. But if you fire 7,000 people out of only 57,000, number one, it's gonna start to break for some of you. And number two, I read into who they're firing first. And it's everyone related to, as far as I can tell from the reporting, people related to customer service. So if anything goes wrong with your check, oh, you're screwed. It was already taking at least a half an hour to even get through to a person at Social Security as things are now. After these firings, it'll take you forever and ever, partly because the way, if you fire those folks first, after you break Social Security and they go to complain, they won't have anyone to complain to. And I don't know, maybe in their infantile mind, they think that way will lower the number of complaints just by not listening to them. So, but if they cut deeper than that, I mean, even that will probably cause a significant amount of trouble. But you cut any more than that, you're guaranteeing trouble with actually sending out the payments. And so, look, guys, you're right wing. You don't believe me, just like the Democrats didn't believe me about Biden. No problem.
Call it loopholes, but there's so many people. I had a buddy that worked for years and not making gangster money, less than 6 figures, but didn't pay any taxes. I'm saying 80, 90, got a tax refund. So you didn't pay taxes. You didn't even pay in, and somehow you still got a tax refund. So that's an issue. I think Social Security is a massive issue. You look at what a person could do with their own financial literacy that we don't have in our educational system today, which is why we have institutions like Replace University. I read an article where if you took the same amount of money, somebody making $80,000 a year, instead of paying into Social Security, they would just put it in S&P 500 blindly. It was like a difference of $40,000 in income versus 1.4 million portfolio size. Now that's not income per year. Let's say you're getting 8% on that. You're making over $100,000 a year in interest on your money, not accounting for inflation and all that. Is that not a better use of those funds?
All right, so you get the gist. Social Security, it's interesting. When it comes to it, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not gonna say totally in the middle on this. I think it needs to be a bunch of updates. I think there needs to be changes. I think there needs to be um something done with Social Security. It needs to be updated. It's been around forever. Okay, and since Social Security has been around for a very long time, and it was, in my opinion, I call it social insecurity. But I believe that there needs to be a shakeup. There needs to be an update to it, right? If we're just running down the same exact thing over these years, or since it was put in place, and we're not going to change anything, Chang was like, oh, we're at F around and find out what people say. Well, guess what? We need to change some stuff, right? Because if it's going to become solvent or insolvent in within the next 10, 12 years, then we need to really figure this out. Right. And he's okay. Well, great. Put more on the backs of of course, on the more wealthy people. Great. Or, get rid of the cap, right? Or raise the cap. But that means there's going to be an increase in what people take out as well. So we need to really think this through. I'm not sure what the solution is. I believe I believe that can be a solution. Maybe get rid of the cap, or also make it not taxed, right? Making a non-taxable benefit. I think that could be a help to people that really, really need it. If you're talking about, they got to paying for drugs, you got to pay for food and things of that nature, you got to survive. Absolutely. Well, great. If it was non-taxable, I think it's okay. So you guys give me your guys' opinion in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the merch as well, the NPND merch in the link in the description. And also drop us a cup of coffee if you feel so inclined. Without any further ado, hey, Rational Reactions. Peace.